Finals at London Invite 2023, the Open Division starting us off. Germany Open versus Belgium Open, and it's the Belgians to start on offense like they did in their semi-final where they bested Great Britain. The Germans, of course, succeeding over the Czech Republic, who more or less came unstuck during the second half. But it was a clean hole to start the semi-final. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Sean Colfer in the booth. A foot block from Felix Martin. He catches it as it sits up in the wind. An opportunity here. Schlor. Round to Martin. Nice one, Lillemannsson. A little bit high. He's going to have to go for the second attempt, but reads it well. Schlor though, and tumbling around in the end zone for the first German goal, and it's a break.
Yeah, what a start for the Germans. We saw in the pool game they used to play against each other, Felix Martin drew Dan Desmarais duty more often than not, and he did a good job limiting Desmarais. Wasn't able to get too many turns off him, but he's already got one in the early going here. It was an excellent foot block, just extended out, knocks that disc away, and the German offense, following the turn, was very, very clinical. You see, Dan Desmarais goes for the early movement, and Felix Martin just knocks it with the sole of his foot and snatches it away.
Playing his ultimate for Clapham this season, I have to say Felix Martin's having a bit of a breakout year. Former Warwick Bear, making the Clapham roster for the first time here in 2023, but as we've already mentioned, Sean played lots of fantastic defense, a really agile, very active threat, not someone you ever really catch on the back foot.
No, definitely not. He's very quick. He's not among the Clapham players the most explosive vertically in terms of jumping in the air, but he is extremely quick over the ground. Very, very quick. Changes the direction as well. Very, very good athletic profile in that sense. Tough to get away from. Good cutter on offense, good hands. Did try out for Great Britain, as you say, plays for Clapham, lives in London, was at Great Britain trials, but he is from Germany, and it looks as though he's elected to play for Germany rather than Great Britain, and they are in the final here, so the early signs are good decision.
Indeed, it hasn't been the perfect start to the year for GB anyway. They obviously had that first loss against the Mooncatchers back in Tom's tourney in May, but an error again for the Belgians. They have a much shorter squad than their opponents in their semi-final, but maybe a bit of tiredness sinking into the youngsters in the red.
Looks like Muller's throw just jumped up in the wind. The wind, I mean, it has got a lot windier over the last few hours, as you've probably been hearing on the stream, and it's very swirly. It's kind of a side wind, but the direction seems to vary all the time. Gazebos are constantly being blown to and fro.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my trademark cap today, and I'm regretting it. My hair's going to be knotty, and that one is very knotty indeed. Konrad Schlor, how did he keep hold of that? Looking around for options, and that one is going to be bobbled out of contention. Desmarais getting a bit of a hand on it. Aaron Wolf trying his best, but doesn't succeed.
It's absolutely remarkable that Konrad Schlor caught that disc. That was bobbling, he was falling down. That was ridiculous. Fantastic concentration.
Well, having conceded the first one, this is a must-put-in point for the Belgians. Shooting against the wind, so they lost that downwind advantage. This is one of those games where you might choose defense in order to have the side of the pitch that you want. What would be your call to open this one up, Sean?
Honestly, I almost always would say choose offense, because I just think you're going to end up on the right side of it if everyone trades through. But you're right, the wind has really stepped up in the last hour or so, and it's so swirly, it's going to be really tough to play against. So I'd still choose offense, but it's very justifiable to try and play with this wind.
A zone coming out from Team Germany, not surprising. The Belgians were putting a zone of their own against Great Britain in the semi, but they certainly had some moments where they got frustrated by it, and certainly having a high pass tally is going to be a good strategy for the defense. But Desmarais, complete lack of concentration, gives the disc completely away, and it's capitalized on this second asking. And Germans break twice to start off the final.
Yeah, Desmarais just took his eye off it. It's so tough when you're playing in these conditions as well. You've got to be so precise and so exacting with absolutely everything, but Desmarais has turned to survey the field before he's got it in his hands, just bounces out. It's a tough start for the Belgian O-line here. They are struggling in these admittedly very challenging conditions, as we see this just ludicrous catch from Konrad Schlor. He's absolutely brilliant concentration to reel that in. but then immediately through a turnover. So.
Well, we definitely are seeing preview conditions for Limerick. I mean, a good spot from Ian French, of course, also getting in the chat. Some teams have really gone for their selections based on pure athleticism over throwing power. Not saying that that's the case for either of the teams out currently on the field, but Limerick isn't exactly known for still conditions, Sean.
It is not. It's not known for still conditions or dry conditions. So both these teams are going to face inclement weather at some point over in Limerick. This is going to be warming them up nicely.
Well, certainly warming up underfoot. You've got the rubber crumb turf that's been soaking up the sun's rays all day, which is very warm out here.
Yep, it's absolutely boiling. Sitting here in the shade, drinking a Coke, trying not to overheat.
Indeed, with your sun-absorbent skin, Sean. The Irishman who never burns.
That's me.
So the Belgians back with the disc in hand. Their third attempt to get a point. But thus far, none have been coming. Van der Wegen. A little bit blady, but all fine for De Krane. Just plain match defense this way from Germany. Fakes the big ripper. Goes across to Van der Rust.
There's a poach in the middle of the field. Conrad Schleur tried to help out deep there. It's Beckman's now.
De Marais. Beekmans. Available. Ooh, lefty offhand. De Krane. That was a great pick
Great
for
catch.
Müller. And Beekmans again escapes the matchup. Clearly a bit more help defense poaching from the Germany Open players, but at long last punch one into the scorecard for the Belgians.
Yeah, great catch from Müller to save that point. De Krane clearly saw he had space, lasers it over there, but it's a little too close to the defender, but Müller is able to go back against his body, lay out and catch it. Really, really good catch. A couple of times there where Germany tried to help, particularly going deep. Conrad Schleur left a man, Beckmans was wide open in the middle. Belgium were able to work through it, but the German D-line is still asking some difficult questions, and Belgium had to work really hard there. We also saw two of Germany's O-line players out there, Grünwald and Müller, both of whom have largely played offense during this tournament. They were both out there on that last D-line. Give that short D-line some rest after the two breaks to start the game.
Absolutely. They've both teams not brought the most flush squads. Obviously a couple of injuries for both sides. Got some bandaged hands, and with a bit of a brace on his right hand, Christian Gaffney. Fun fact, Sean, he's not had a turnover this season. He's not had any turnovers for even in like training camps, any practice games for Germany Open.
Not one turnover.
Not one single turnover. He wants to break the streak because the longer he waits. No, Jenny, he said I was told by Joel Ben-Joseph that I was to say we're allowed to break the streak if we want to via commentator's curse, because actually Gaffney's wanting it to be broken, because the longer he goes, the more pressure he's under. He needs to be more of an impact player, perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
Müller, Gaffney. Back to Müller. Now just reconfiguring. Lovely Blake around. Boyton Müller. Little slide for Dosche. Holger Bolton-Müller. Of course, that number 19. 3 Boyton-Müllers for your enjoyment out on the pitch, but it's going to be one sliced through to Müller in the end. And that's a clean hold with some moments of pause.
Some slight moments of pause. They ran through pretty comfortably until they got to the end zone, and then it was just making sure they had the right movement in the right space. Belgium did a decent job closing things down. I think Germany was just clarifying things, making sure they didn't have too much movement. It's obviously a killer for any offense when you've got too much movement in that short end zone area. But you can see they're just waiting for someone to come off the front. You see Nico Müller isolating that space there, and just a switch off on his mark. Thinks the disc's going backwards, doesn't run with Nico Müller, and it's an easy catch for an outstanding player.
It's been fun to watch them actually putting Nico Müller in that isolated front of stack position. There have been points where we've been like, that's a curiously far away stack, and then you see, oh, yes, that's why, because you want to give Nico Müller plenty of room. Of course, one of the must defend, must have a game plan to avoid or sort of suppress at World Games for sure. And obviously over the course of that tournament, that was what was the success when we saw Germany take that early win at the World Games, but then not quite so successful when it came down to the final placement play. Bit of air bounce on that centering pass to Demarais, but all good. Van der Oost. Got all the 3-10 shirts at the back, like it's meant to be. Van der Vega now finds Müller. Germans applying a zone again. A little bit of backtrack for Van der Oost, but all fine.
This is very, very passive zone for the Germans.
Well, we saw GB put a passive zone against Belgium, and it did frustrate them and cause them to throw some perhaps ill-advised shots over the top. And running down the legs is certainly no bad idea with such a short roster. Hammer over the top. That one's very nice to De Kranen, who was left all alone on that far sideline. Now a bit of give-go. De Walde. De Walde shoots into the front cone, and that's going to be collected by Van der Vega. Nice way to respond to the zone.
Yes, it was. The Germans, as I said, was a fairly passive zone. They're looking to force Belgium to make passes and get them into an area they don't want to be in. They were all the way back in their own end zone. Dan Demarais, as you see right here, throws that hammer to Toby De Kranen. He's wide open. It's obviously not a particularly challenging throw to make and to catch, but the challenge is that the conditions are pretty tough at the moment, and throwing that kind of a hammer is risky. If there's any edge that's not quite right, that is probably going to either spiral up into the air and go over the building like we saw yesterday, or it's going to go into the deck. But it was a nice execution, and once they got through it, Belgium went through it pretty comfortably. But Germany, I think they'll be pleased with that one, limiting them, pushing them into the end zone, containing them quite a lot. And if that is the kind of throw that Belgium are going to need to get out of those kind of zones, I think Germany will take that every day.
Absolutely, you know, that had to be picture perfect. Could easily have been caught and overthrown by the wind.
Yeah, you throw that 10 times, comes off 8 maybe, but two of them won't come off.
Well, to be fair though, the overheads for Belgian ultimate players are more of a normal part of their toolbox. You don't see them get so spicy in the wind. They've matured out a little bit more. Of course, we usually see those off the palms of the Jonkers brothers. Of course, we have neither Jonker on. Ref back at home recovering from injury, and Benjamin here also just resting himself. Of course, got quite an important tournament to play coming up, under 24s. Old man Ref, of course, too old for that division now, much to everyone's dismay. Philip Kay now, with the iconic visor, finds Gaffney. Christian looking for options, gonna have to take on the force, or look for the reset. Oh, the little punching defensive hand of Arthur Fures.
Is that Christian Gaffney's turnover, or is that Buitenmuller's turnover? It's probably Buitenmuller, right? It hits him in the hands. Yeah. But it's just sat up in the wind, doesn't it? And very, very good work by Fures to get his hand in there and make it difficult.
Verreken puts up one that sits and hangs in the wind, and a little fist bump from Samuel Buitenmuller. There was not a single pass on that one.
Strange possession, doesn't even look at the dump, just slings it into an area. There's no Belgian players there. Either it's a miscommunication or it's a high stall. Either way, not the best offensive execution for the Belgian D-line there.
We saw the Belgians be put under a lot of pressure earlier on in this tournament, and they were very good at being patient, looking at the defense, throwing creative breaks. So hopefully those can return. Müller immediately going for Holger in the end zone. Holger Buitenmuller grabs it high over the pack, doing exactly what he does best.
In this wind, that is an absolutely fantastic shot. Nico Müller, Holger Buitenmuller had steps almost immediately, fakes the underneath, his mark, shifts to try and take that away, and he just takes off, and Müller just puts it out in front of him, and that is an absolute dime. You can see 3 Belgians chasing after us. It's getting pretty close at the end here, but I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind here that Holger was coming down with that disc. Great throw, great cut, and Germany stretching their lead to 4-2.
So you have to talk a little bit about the occasion here, Sean, for these teams. We've got two national teams at a sort of, you know, organised by Clapham, local London Ultimate Tournament, but this isn't really the big stage. If you're Belgium right now, what do you use this game for?
I think this is just very much getting in reps, getting used to each other, because this is not the O-line we're probably going to see once we get to Limerick, because as you say, Ben Yonkers not playing. I'm sure there's other players as well that are not around. Sofiane Bontemps is on the sideline, having become injured at Windmill. So this isn't the O-line we're going to see. This probably isn't the D-line we're going to see. I doubt once we get to EUC that Dan de Marais is going to be playing a central handler role. He's really good at other stuff as well. So it's just reps. It's reps, getting experience, and also being in difficult positions, having to adapt to things.
Beekmans looking for options. Fabulous zone from the Germans. Is that going to go out of bounds? Oh, great footwork to keep that in. Tasty toes from Van der Oost.
Yeah, towed that in right on the cone. It's really, really good footwork.
A little bit of replacement of the cone from Stefan Doscher. We love to see it. I hate when teams move the cone, as anyone who's listened to my commentary this season will be aware. Leave the cone alone. What did it ever do to you? But Mathieu Müller, disc on the front cone, finds de Marais. De Krane trying to get away from Linnemanstons. Oh, great movement and lovely attack. PJ, as he's known, de Moulinard, just pops that back foot down, dancing around to collect that score.
Yeah, it was really nice, kind of against momentum pivots from De Valle. You see he catches it and pivots back across. You see here the toe in by Van der Oost. It's a very, very good catch. Helpfully, Stef Doscher standing right in the way. Does indicate that it's in. But yeah, the catch to it to throw the assist opens his body up and is able to use his pivot to go even wider and go around for the score. It's nice footwork. You see it here, pivots against his body, but this means he has a look at the field. So when he is starting his throwing motion, he already knows what's going on. If he's catching it in the normal way and turning over his right shoulder, his back's to the play. So he opens his body up, has a look at the field, and is able to execute quickly to get the score in on the front cone.
Well, this match full of athletes that we're used to seeing. Of course, it's nice to see a couple of players coming back from injury. Holger Buitenmüller, of course, did get injured and returned this year. We saw him back with Basket in Leuven.
Yeah, I think he was around late last year, but definitely wasn't back to the Holger that we've seen for so long.
Indeed, Player of the Year back in 2018. And of course, that was an... Oh, nearly a cheeky Callahan there, looking very, very dangerous. But Müller pops up and denies Verreken. Doscher. Müller just going down to the knees, but popping up like a mole from the earth. Buitenmüller around. Holger. Now Greenwald. Doscher with those classic double gloves. No sweaty palms for him on the disc under the beating sun in London. Oh, and it's a lovely layout. Samuel Buitenmüller just going to work.
Yeah, it was an interesting throw from Greenwald. I don't think the IO backhand was necessarily a great choice considering the wind and considering the angle he had. Buitenmüller had to go horizontal to save it, as we see Müller, well, it's close, isn't it? Müller snatched that away to prevent a Callahan, but more efficiency from the German O-line. Holger Buitenmüller acting as more of a creator than a downfield force there. He can definitely do both. But it's been difficult at this stage for Belgium to stop the flow. Once Germany get into flow, they're able to go all the way to the end zone and without too much difficulty get those scores in. Belgium going to have to change things up a little bit defensively.
Well, they're going to have a hard task to do. They were given many opportunities in the semi-final against against Great Britain, where the first point had 4 turnovers apiece, and the D-line for Belgium couldn't punch a single one. And of course, they got that break coming into the second half that was the deciding factor in that game. Whereas the Germans had a bit of an easier way through. The Czechs sort of stumbling.
Yeah, a few points in the end. The Czechs having another pretty good season. They're not a team to be taken lightly, but the results here indicating again that they might not be at the level of the top teams here, these two and Great Britain.
Well, on a great day for the Czech Republic, they are nigh on unbeatable. But if you can shut down their sort of A and B plays, they don't have the depth of playbooks that some of the other favourites in the conversation for European gold in Limerick do. But of course, there's a couple of weeks still. So we see a foul there on the mark, and Wolf getting a little bit too touchy. Van der Vega doesn't like it.
Yeah, goes for the round. You just see Wolf step to his right, little bump on the shoulder.
Van der Vega low break. Devala. Oh, and look who's in complete open space again. John Batemans.
Does really good work for this Belgian O-line. Excellent cutter, seems to be free almost all the time. He and Muller doing such important work, making sure that that disc keeps moving, it doesn't get stuck too much. And another really, really nice throw. Another one where Diwali kind of pivots nice and wide and keeps this moving without the D-setting. As we see a replay of a nice D-bid. Doesn't get there, but Diwali, another wide pivot, puts it out in front. Nice score. And it's the Belgium O-line, when it's running, it runs really nicely, doesn't it, Anna? It's, when it's working, it works beautifully. But they have got a little bogged down a couple of times in this game. The German D-line doing a good job of shifting them into some uncomfortable positions.
Well, and that is what you have to do to really, you know, get yourself the edge at this level. It's not a case of just, you know, waiting for the team to give it back to you. You do have to ask some really, you know, exposing questions of your opponents. I just sort of throwing different looks. I really am liking the rhythm change of the German D-line. They are not just putting the same look out. They're not just playing zone, not just playing match. They really are keeping the Belgians guessing. And I think that is what kind of, you know, is going to perhaps get them some more breaks in this game. But of course, they don't need really many more because they've already got 2.
Good pull. Fielded reasonably badly by Germany, so they are on their own end zone line.
Oh, Benjamin Svarts nearly comes in and gets the D. That one just enough composure from Phil Kay. He rips one into the deep space. Really lovely crossfield put. Greenwald now shoots into the center of the end zone. There weren't enough defenders flooding through. Doscher finds the opportunity, and that's another German hold. We're just trading out now.
Just trading out. Great expansive throw by Phil Kay. It's one of those ones where you can be expansive throwing deep, taking big shots. You can be expansive using the whole field. And he takes down a nice catch under pressure for 1, and then for 2, spots somebody, Sam Butenmüller, on that far sideline in acres of space, and throws that flick over there, exposing the D, completely breaking apart the Belgian zone. And it's an easy score from there. Germany execute well, but it's all comes from that really, really good throw by Phil Kay. Well,
there's a slight advantage for Germany here, having played their semi-final not on the 3G, maybe a little bit less hot in the, you know, in the bodies. They're certainly having to come off with some pretty hero stuff, exactly like that catch from Phil Kay. Lovely composure on the footwork, but at the moment it's a case of, oh no, I've just forgotten what I was going to say. Talking about the heat. It's getting to us as well here in the booth. But yeah, that's what it was. The Germans are playing, I think, a slightly more intelligent variety of ultimate right now. They do seem to be really, you know, being more mindful with the disc, thoughtful. Svarts, obviously, they're coming in, nearly getting that run-through bid, but the composure is really, really apparent because the Germans are just doing their thing.
Great pull by Conrad Schleur there.
Oh, but always. That man has got a serious cannon. Don't talk about his arm. We're usually too distracted, of course, by another part of his anatomy. It's a great snag from Desmarais.
Schleur on Desmarais for the first time this game.
We love to see it. Dumoulin. Cheeky little bit of air bounce on that. Müller. Everything becoming a little bit quiet. Batemans with a lovely grab as well. Belgium's being pushed to execute on the edges of their offensive capabilities with these catches. Cheeky poach off from Waldvogel. Desmarais to Batemans. Big launch off the silky palm, but that is going to be a little bit too far, getting pushed by the wind. It is tricky to shoot with the wind on this show pitch.
Really intense pressure from Germany. The prevent D was really, really good. Belgium having to reset on very high stalls several times there, and Bateman's shooting for Muller, but as you say, Hannah, that wind is going to keep pushing it away. Doesn't really get that close to it. It's a really difficult throw to make, but that was they only had tough options there. Tough options and not great options were the two they had. Really, really good D by Germany, who have brought Sam Butenmuller over from the O-line. He's on the field here.
Yeah, it's a tricky one when you're executing those downwind shots, because you want to put a bit more loft, a bit more hang time on them, but of course it's finding the balance. If you put too much underneath it, then it gives the defender a time to catch up. And certainly we've seen teams come unstuck with that, going the opposite direction into the wind, as we see a beautiful backhand into the path of Sam Buitenmuller. All he has to do is a little trot as he makes the catch, and Route 1 offense for Germany Open.
When Route 1 is Schleur to Buitenmuller, it's a pretty good route, I would say. We see Dam Demarais just poach off at the back of the stack to try and help out deep. Conrad Schleur takes advantage of that, and no hesitation whatsoever. I mentioned just before that point that Sam Buitenmuller had come over from the O-line to play D, and it goes to Buitenmuller for the score. Beautiful throw, Waldvogel to Schleur to Buitenmuller. World Games connections all round. Pushes it down the field. Germany up 3 breaks, 7-4, and Belgium have taken a timeout.
Yeah, no surprise there. We will take a timeout alongside the athletes on the pitch, but do not go anywhere. This men's Open final. We'll be back soon. Action from the Open final here at London Invite 2023. Myself, Hannah Penderbury, in the booth alongside Sean Colfer. And we've just seen a Belgian timeout as they stare down the barrel of a 7-4 point deficit going into the potential end of this first half. And I have to say, Pierre-Alain Delamine did look quite fired up in that timeout huddle.
He did. I mean, the Belgian team generally, they've been playing really well so far in this tournament. Despite the fact they've got a pretty short line, they don't have that many players with some injuries and people not here. So they've been executing at a very high level given those numbers, but they do seem a bit flat in this game. Defensively, they're not getting the same kind of pressure they got against GB. Offensively, they're making more mistakes than they've made in previous games. They're not quite at 100% here, whereas the Germans got a couple of breaks early on, and they're flying. They want to win this tournament.
Well, another hanging centering pass. We've seen both teams throw a couple of those a little bit loose, just dangling the carrot in front of the defense as to who might want to get themselves a Callahan here on our live stream. But Van der Vega trying to settle the ship. Van der Roost had the Krana out wide, but doesn't like that shot directly almost into the wind. Yeah, I can understand.
I think they want to stay out of that side of the pitch. Generally, they're trying to play on the high side, on the side away from the camera. The side closest to the camera is where the wind is coming, and it's going to be really tough to play offense from there.
Van der Vega. Again, we see this quite passive German zone. Now time for the jailbreak if they can do it. Demarais. Van der Vega. Van der Roost now. course, those 3 10s sitting at the back of this iteration of the Belgian O-line. Dumoulin. Demare now. Everyone sort of clustered around the handler space. 5 players all in the same slice of the pitch. Laterally. De Krane now. Looks for the give goes. This is a nice way to gain yards through the wind. Melt to match now. Dumoulin. Looks around, has Van der Vega. Fakes the hammer and sells the mark. Excellent faking from Van der Vega, and there we go on the front cone. A little bit of a baby roll there, just to make sure, from recent dad. Müller.
A lot of switching in the end zone there from the Germans, a lot of handing people off. You hear Conrad, or you might have heard Conrad Schler at some point in that point shout, help, help. There's a switch happening, and I think there's probably just a little bit of a blown switch. It's a wide open person on the front cone, as we see. It was a nice hammer fake, to be fair, but you see it running wide open on that cone. No one anywhere near him. But Germany stayed in that zone for a long time. It wasn't until their own brick mark that they came out of it. Really content for Belgium to move it back and forth. That relatively passive zone, as we've said a couple of times. They've got three players in a wall. Not really putting a huge amount of pressure on the disc, but just limiting what's happening downfield. They're giving up those lateral throws, but in this kind of wind, those lateral throws are not particularly appealing.
Lovely little shot there from Cam 2 of Joel Ben Joseph. Of course, he's not cleated up. He turned up to this tournament not feeling his best. Had a thought that he might recover on the plane ride, as he did in Cincinnati for World Clubs back in 2022, last year. It's a rogue move, thinking you're going to recover on a plane journey that's only about an hour and a half long.
So it's not quite as far away as Cincinnati.
No, thankfully, to be fair. Gaffney to Müller. Yes, lovely to have Joel with us anyway, helping us keep our gazebos down. Of course, clips will have some of our highlight reels for us. And if you want to get involved in the ULTI.TV of any of our content we produce, just shout us on our social media.
A very similar zone from Belgium that we've seen from Germany. They're putting a bit more pressure on the disc than Germany have been, to be fair, but it is setup-wise pretty similar.
Well, let's see if they can do it any better. The Germans have definitely been putting on lots of pressure when they're on zone. Okay, just standing directly pinned to that far sideline. Oh, nice dish from Müller on the bounce. Okay, back to Greenwald. Hartley Greenwald puts that one up. Oh, squeaking through Holger Beutenmüller. Sandwiched around the ankles, but that'll be good enough for the skip goal and half taken by Germany Open.
And Wolf just yelling big man and then flexing. Holger Beutenmüller finding the space where it seemed like none existed. 2 nice bids. Can't quite make it difficult enough, and Beutenmüller reels it in, and that is a extremely effective, efficient and impressive first half for the Germans.
It certainly is. Well, as the players flood themselves back through the tunnel from whence they emerged to play this final to get themselves some shade, we will also grab ourselves some refreshments and recover. But don't go anywhere. The second half of this Open final will commence after these messages.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
I will arise and go soon to the Isle of Emerald Green, and watch my mighty heroes go to battle on the screen. Where the ocean kisses Ireland, Shannon's tears of joy flow. That lovely Lady Limerick invites us to the show. From mighty glens and rugged hills, bays and braes raise a sláinte. Ganairi an bóthar leat, agus céad míle fáilte.
Players emerging for the second half of this Open final. Currently a significant score deficit, 3 breaks conceded by Belgium, who started this game on offense. Germany looking in very fine form indeed. A couple of moments of shakiness, Sean, but generally it's been a pretty easy day at the bank there. O-line have been turned over once, but have broken clean, held cleanly every time other than that.
Yeah, the O-lines look very, very good. I don't even remember what the turn was. They've been so effective. It's kind of pushed it all the way out of my mind to this handless set they have. Nico Müller has been starting upfield a bit more often than we were used to seeing him, but Gaffney's playing very well, Kay's playing very well, Greenwald's playing very well. They're just really, really tough to get the disc off once things are working, once they get into a bit of a rhythm. This is a very, very effective unit.
And the momentum started right from the get-go. Of course, that foot block from Felix Martin on Dan de Marais.
Yep, got his soul on it, knocked it away, and they execute from there. Belgium have been on the back foot since there, really.
Well, a little bit of interest for you fans in the live chat. So a fun fact about the Belgians, at the moment, Flying Penguins, and this is from Benjamin Tavazzo and Mathieu Müller, both play for the same team, Flying Penguins, that are merging. Which do you like better, Black Wind or High Rise? Put it in the chat. We'll ask Sean in a minute after this point concludes. But the Belgians desperately needing to grab a break to open up this one and try and get some momentum. Müller finding Boyton Müller to Dosha. A little bit of extra trot there from Müller, but all fine. Gaffney. Easy one through to Holger. Greenwald. Müller, oh my goodness, so quick and efficient. That's just ruthless engineering from Germany. Open. Dosha with the goal.
Yeah, Belgium going to have to tweak this zone or come out of it completely. They tried to get some pressure on the disc. You can see there was also a man marking the dump quite tightly, but Germany just found space in the middle twice, went through it easily, and once they got through it, the disc started moving, and once the disc started moving, it just didn't stop. You can see the D doesn't really set, moves back over to the middle, and Greenwald just lets it carry on, and Müller doesn't even stop. He doesn't need to stop, just pops it into space. And it, in the end, looks like an easy score, but it looks easy because of just how well the Germans are executing here. When offense is working, it looks like the easiest thing in the world, and the Germans are doing a great job of doing that at the moment.
Well, Ultimate is one of those sports in which the offense really does have a marked advantage. Certainly from the rule set, but also just the style of play. Of course, a lot of defense is about choosing something to take away, but once you're in active play and everything is rolling and the angle of attack is constantly changing, you really are about, you know, anticipation and reactions. De Marais faking. Van der Rust instead. And of course, he's playing alongside Dan de Marais back in Leuven, playing for Jet Set. Snagging their ticket to Wrocław later this season for the UCF. Big shot coming out of Van der Vega. The younger De Krane not deciding to make the bid, unlike him, but perhaps just thinking it was a bit too far out and now's not the time to cover your body in turf burns.
Yeah, I think you're probably right in the sense that it's a something is the better part of valor. The phrase escapes me quickly. Discretion is the better part of valor in that particular instance. I think it's probably a bit far, even if he does go for it. Toby De Krane, very athletic, can really fly, but I don't know that he's getting there even if he launches himself at it. But maybe if we were in the final of Euros, he'd go for it, but the final of London Invite, perhaps not the time ahead of what's going to be a big month in July for De Krane and some of these other lads.
So Marvin Voldvogel, who we saw in the previous iteration of So, no, it was the French Open Masters game, wasn't actually, where we saw him touch the disc probably more than any other human on the pitch. Gets us underway to Vlad Basov, a Moscow man, been living in Berlin since 2015. Martin now. Matched up with the Khan. Oh, that one's going to bobble out of the lap, though, of Nick Schultz.
Yeah, just a drop there. He had space, he had time. Just didn't watch it all the way into the hands. Another one of those where he's trying to turn around and see what's next.
Well, the wind is currently taking the disc away, but Beekmans makes himself available once more. He's been a demon in the end zone today for the Belgians. That's his third goal so far of the 6 that Belgium have now put on the board.
Great footwork there as well. It looked as though he made 2 movements, and it looked as though he was going to have to kind of reset. Just makes an extra cut, positions himself behind the defender, and then explodes into that space. You see the defender turn, and Schultz is completely out of position for that one, back towards the cone. Really good footwork from Beekmans. So Belgium going to try and get back into this. They need a break. Need to get that disc off this German O-line, but the German O-line has been playing it so well in this game. They are moving this quickly, moving it effectively, finding the soft spots in the Belgian zone. I would not expect we're going to see that same zone again. Germany certainly have been playing a zone. They came out of it last time around, played match. I'd expect we're looking at a match from Belgium again here.
Well, a little shout there from John Beekmans. I don't know if you could pick up on our pitch cam, but he says hello to his niece, Adélie, I think, or Amélie. Either way, lots of love to all of the Belgian fans back home from their chaps, including Polly and Kona. Move that back in Leuven, so hello to you. But the Germans at the moment in charge of this game. A powerful flick coming out of Nico Müller. There's a lot of hang time underneath it though, and Dan de Marais takes it and puts it in his pocket.
Going deep to Holger, generally always a good choice, but when Holger is being chased by Dan de Marais, that changes the arithmetic a bit. Dan de Marais has been phenomenal all year, and the Belgians need a point. They've moved him from the O-line to the D-line. He's come up with the goods. They are going to try and get this break, get back in this game.
And of course, not the first time many of these athletes have met this season. Oh, but that's a lovely quick offhand dish from Stefan Doscher, giving Gaffney a first stat of the game.
Yeah, you see the Belgians coming off looking disappointed. They had that disc, they had an opportunity. Just a drop has meant they gave it back to Germany, and Germany were ruthless. Once given the second opportunity, you see de Marais is just in front. There's no point where it looks like he's not going to take that in. But unfortunately for Belgium, trying to come back into the middle of the pitch, and just a drop. Germany take advantage, but that's some progress for the Belgians. Some progress, making a difference on the German O-line, taking the disc away. Admittedly, they had to put Dan de Marais on for another point. He only has so much in his legs, although I mean he's been an absolute Iron Man so far this season, so maybe I'm wrong, but you can't put him on every single point.
I mean, you probably can. I think he even when our first live stream of him this season was indeed that game back in Leuven with his OG hometown, the Jet Set. Well, they obviously grabbed that wild card, and I don't think he left the pitch in the semi-final against Gentle or the final against Bad Skid. So plenty of the, of course, O-line of Germany Open are the Bad Skid lads at core, alongside several of the big pieces from Wall City. So you see a big poach off sagging into the lane from Vlad Basov, indeed of Wall City. The Berlin outfit, progenitor of the short shorts, also they like to say.
It's a pick downfield here, but Van der Veghe is completely isolated. He has no dump. I don't think Belgium are intentionally playing a 1-6 here.
Maybe they're just going to go for some yards, bit of huck and D with the wind. It worked out for the Germans in the last point that it was a huck and D, because obviously a deep shot to Holger is difficult to resist. Hopping back. Van der Veghe, nice and flat against this wind. Good technique.
Germany really sagging off Van der Veghe.
Big shot into the deep space. Dan de Marais does it another way.
build the whole plane out of Dan. Can do pretty much anything you want him to do, anything you need him to do. Germany seemingly very happy to have the disc over on that far side. Van der Vega had loads of space, and when he moved the disc, his mark, rather than getting tight to him, just came all the way in the middle to try and stop anything forward. So they're pushing the disc out that way, and Van der Vega makes them pay for it with a beautiful throw to Dan de Marais.
Yeah, got Aaron van der Vega, who I believe is the younger of the two Van der Vega brothers from Gentle. Of course, his brother is here on the sidelines in a bucket hat, injured. So he's just doing some sidelining.
Is there another Van der Vega brother?
There is another Van der Vega
brother.
brother.
On the under-24s team, I believe. I didn't know there were 3.
Oh no, I think it's, well, it's just the 2. Okay, well maybe he's not on the squad then. It's Aaron and Arthur.
Yeah, I think there is another Van der Vega on the under-24 team. It might just be a relatively common name in Belgium. I don't know.
Well, they're definitely 2 Ghent brothers, and Arthur van der Vega is on the under-24s team, so probably that. Maybe he's not playing on the seniors.
Fair enough.
Of course, it is for non-sort of ultimate natives. The whole idea of seniors divisions, masters divisions is very confusing, and all these youth divisions, because they're not sure exactly which way round they have to go all the time. But I believe it's under-17s, under-20s, under-24s, and then of course seniors, masters, grandmasters, great grandmasters, ad infinitum, legends division now coming out of the States. Wittenmüller looking for Nico Müller. Of course, his brother Marco now doesn't really play so much, but certainly a big coaching outfit for the Germans. Takes over the part of the management team for the women's team, who are also looking in fine fence. So there's a lot of big German teams coming out with so much talent, Sean, in all the divisions.
Yeah, German women look very, very good at Windmill. Looking forward to seeing them at EUC. It was the first time we've seen them at Windmill, and they were exactly as advertised. A lot of talent on that team, not least Anna Gerner, but they've got 5 or 6 players that are going to be tough for anyone else in Europe to match up with.
And there were lots of shade thrown on them because, of course, a lot of the female matching talent going to play in the mixed division as well. The Germany mixed team have the likes of Nikki Prien, Livka Volchak, and of course some fantastic male athletes as well. No danger though. Diekmans has a broken thumb, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But lots of German athletes out here as well. Dosha, hammer over the top, lefty hammer. A little pop down for Hartley Greenwald and reels that in to extend the scoreline here, 11-7. But no breaks so far in this half. So the Belgians could see themselves back into this one. I'm not sure I see them getting 3 breaks, but they are a very feisty, youthful team. So maybe if this wind starts to blow the other direction, it could change.
Not the way this German O-line is playing. Stef Dosha, usually a very consistent and safe player, just pops a hammer across field. I mean, Greenwald is wide open, so it's not too dangerous a choice, but that's not something you usually see from him. Clearly the O-line feeling themselves a bit here. I think the thing that Belgium, obviously, they need 3 breaks, they've got to get the disc off Germany. That's job number 1, and that's hard enough, but they've changed a few things around, moved a few things around, but there was lots of times they got beaten up the line there, and it's just a case of they're trying to take one thing away and like leaving another open, and Germany are just finding that weak spot every single time at the moment. But Hartley Greenwald having himself a good game, a goal and 3 assists so far, and Germany at the moment look to be cruising to the title. Could that be a commentator's curse? We shall see.
Well, we just want the most exciting game of Ultimate, let's be honest. We don't really care who wins these games, as long as we get some good plays and some tight score lines to keep us entertained.
First brick pull in a while, Wynn just pushing it out. Oh, not bricked, it landed in.
Squeaking it down that far sideline. Muranare. Cheeky bit of air bounce is going to see that sailing high. Van der Vega doesn't get a second look at it because Wolf closes the door.
Yeah, just hung up, like you say, air bounce, the angle of the disc, drifting it. Van der Vega has to wait for it. Wolf forces him to go up early and can't really earn a second chance. Wolf with some nice D.
This is becoming a little bit reminiscent of the finals from the Elite Invite back in Bern. That was also a particularly windy day. We saw some looser throws being really caught by the wind. Not quite as damaging with these two teams, but certainly an impact. Waldvogel, big shot straight through in the space. Nick Schultz with nobody really anywhere near.
No, Schultz was completely wide open. I think it was also another player, I can't quite see who it was, but there's two players there. Just Marquardt, but they're two players just wide open. Belgium clearly poaching, switching, trying to really ratchet up the pressure on Waldvogel. He was getting quite high in the stall count there and just leaving two people completely open for that release valve, the break, and Germany a 12-7 lead that at the moment it looks as though Belgium are going to kind of struggle to come back from.
Well, it's going to be quite the mountain to climb. They're going to need all of their gear, perhaps even some crampons. I don't know. The icy smooth offense of the Germans is going to be really tricky to unsettle at this stage, but it ain't over till it's over. Of course, that fantastic dynamic about Ultimate is that you really do have to punch in that last goal.
That Belgian O-line looks tired as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we've all got the hands on the hips memo.
Yep.
With the exception of one player. That looks to be Fuse. Of course, got added to the Belgian team just this week, ahead of EUC, presumably an injury sort of substitution. And Delamine just striding off the screen. He's still got some pretty good body language, all things considered. So another beautiful pull, really nice hang on that. A lot of teams go for the roll to try and make it uncatchable, but that one just sinking silky smooth into Callahan County. Müller seeking an option, high stall reset on that front cone to Van der Vega. Müller popping back and then just sneaking away up that far sideline. Ooh, big effort from Basov. Can really tell how much the German D-line wants this game. Still committing to grinding out here on the 3G with both teams short rosters. Van der Vega looking for options, has the Kana on this near sideline, but the zone applying the pincers. Müller tries to shake Basov with a shoulder fake, but have to commit harder to shake him off like that. Great hold of the force, but a beautiful break to match it. Van der Vega. All in gentle gear to match. In contrast to his Belgian shirt, that one's going to blade, but De Krane with the beautiful read. You knew that was all his. Conrad Schlor signals the goal.
Yeah, going up against Conrad Schlor, one of the best athletes in European Ultimate. De Krane has a perfect read, goes up nice and early, and snatches it away. Puts him on a poster. It's a really, really nice catch. Maybe that's the kind of thing that can get this Belgian D-line firing, that kind of emotional lift.
Well, that was really fabulous work, and a hold after conceding that further break. I looked down at my score sheet. I was like, surely that's not a break for the Belgians, because they'd be going absolutely bonkers if they'd managed to snag one off of the Germans at this stage.
Yeah, just a hold. They're going to come out and try and get some pressure on the Germans now. So a fairly long point there that their O-line was out, as we see De Krane go up really early above Schlur. Really good catch.
It really is the prowess at the moment, the strength of the Belgians. Their reading is absolutely impeccable.
Demarais back out on this D-line. He's talking a lot, gesticulating, getting the team going.
No one knows what he means, but he gets the people going.
10 minutes remaining. 10 minutes remaining.
So the tannoy informing us that we have 10 minutes left in this game, which indeed we do. Our time clock pretty much on the money, counting down rather than up, you may have noticed, but that's a beautiful big shot. Stefan Doscher with acres of space, and that is just dipped in honey, deep fried, delicious stuff from Nico Müller.
Yeah, an absolute dime. He's having an absolutely brilliant game. Dosha, loads of space, going deep, but it's just an outstanding throw. Holger Müller fired up as well, as we see the disc come over to Holger, gives it back to Nico, and Nico just doesn't even seem like he tries that hard, just places it out in front of Dosha, and even the defender gives up. No way he's getting there first. Great cut from Dosha, started quite deep, gave Müller a big area to aim into.
We have some intel on our chat. Thank you so much, live chat, for feeding us with the gaps in our knowledge. We have some. There are chinks indeed in the ULTI.TV comms armour. There are indeed 3 Van der Vega brothers.
Oh, I thought they were. Okay.
Arthur and Aaron are on the Open team, and Isaac is the young talent that's on the U24s.
I wasn't aware that there was 3 until I saw the Under-24 roster. So there we go.
There we go. So all Ghent boys playing for Gentle indeed. But we've also had a shout saying that Toby de Crano will be the best Frisbee player ever. The GOAT. Interesting tip. He is certainly extraordinarily good at Ultimate. But of course, being a team sport, it's difficult to be the one and only all the time. But de Crano is certainly a useful person for the Belgians to have. Van der Roost, one of the anchors for the offense. Back to Van der Vega. Van der Roost throwing into the turf though, trying to hit Müller. He does throw himself at the ground, but not quite as lustrously as we've seen him bid.
Yeah, another execution error for Belgium. Really a bad time for it. They really need to clean up this offense, because if they're going to win this game, they're going to need breaks. And it's just putting themselves further in a hole if they are not able to get this disc back off Germany here.
And a bit of a study of compare and contrast for the pivots of Waldvogel versus Schlor. Waldvogel always running and gunning so hard for it. De Marais tries to put the bid in, doesn't manage to put any kind of force on, just trotting his way. And so an easy gimme for Marvin Waldvogel, punching into the end zone.
De Marais got a finger on that. Just about tried to knock it away, but Waldvogel, great concentration, reeled it in anyway, and as you say, Hannah, with no force, a player of Marvin Waldvogel's quality is going to find someone in the end zone if no one's trying to stop him. So it's a good hold by that Germany D-line once they got the disc off, and it was a little tight. You can see there's a lot of intense pressure once they're marking in a smaller space. This throw goes a little later than you might usually have expected, and you see De Marais gets a finger on that. A little bit of poaching at the front. Waldvogel goes through to the back. Really, really good performance by Germany, and they are now 1 point away from really putting a capper on this weekend. They struggled a little bit more with Belgium's tactics in the pool game, but in this game, very, very impressive.
Well, we are enjoying the scenes here at the Grasshoppers RFC, this London invite. You can't really see how bad the wind is apart from my hair going absolutely bonkers. But it's a delight to be here.
It is, despite the fact it's boiling hot and windy.
At least we have some shade today.
We do have shade today.
It's good, it's good. I became a little bit pink yesterday, but
constantly blowing away thing, yeah.
Indeed, and that
See
little
the flag.
Yeah, our little flag in front of our screen. It's been a real delight to see how much the players themselves have been enjoying sort of trotting their way over to our booth and having a look at the replays, even when it's not anything that's kind of contested, just looking at their teammates being super cool. And of course, if you want to help and support us to bring more coverage to your devices for free, live and on demand, we'll be at EUC, we'll be at EUCF later on this year. Do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ULTI.TV. Like and subscribe, follow us on social media, help us take over the algorithms, and bang that thumbs up on this game, because I see you, nearly 500 of you watching. De Marais pops it through. Mulinari, the man known for PJ, having had that bowling ball injury coming back. It's a big one for Beekmans. Can he dominate? The little man goes up, but blocked by Marcel Hartmann.
Yeah, Harmon had a position on that the whole way, I think, and then went up early so that Batemans couldn't establish position over the top of him. Good D, but another example where Belgium didn't really have a great many options. They were stuck on this sideline. It was good handler D as well to prevent that dump, and just took a pretty risky shot into the end zone rather than keeping the disc moving. Not 100% sure why Germany are coming to the middle of the end zone here rather than go to where it landed, but here we are.
Well, no one else on the pitch seems to have landed, but Van der Vega bats it back. Really great sky battle. And again, that seems to be the Belgian strength. If you put anything lofty near them, it ain't going to be your team coming down with it. Spicy. De Marais now. Back to Batemans. He's been trading roles and putting himself in the end zone, but just about scoops it. PJ de Molenaar, and a slow recovery from the ground there. Didn't quite catch the number of whoever was getting a sky through. Looks like Limmenstons.
Yeah, I think he was probably late, just trying to put de Molenaar off slightly. I don't think the replay went as far back to see the footwork from Dan de Marais in one of the cuts there. Basically sprinted towards the end zone, dropped his left shoulder and exploded back over his right. Just completely fooled two defenders. The guy is a brilliant player, but really, really nice offense for the Belgians at the second time of asking there. Nice execution on the end zone line.
So now the counter response from Germany Open. It'd be lovely to see the Belgians get at long last a break in this game. They've had a whiff of them occasionally. Or is it going to be a clean hold?
If history is anything to go by, I would guess it's going to be a clean hold, but it could well be that Belgium are going to be fired up here. They're going to need 6 in a row to try and win this game. It's going to be very, very tough, the way that both teams are playing. And also just in this kind of heat, I imagine you have to rely on the same kind of players. I mean, we do see Dan de Marais out on this line, Toby de Cranier out on this line, John Beckman's out on this line as well. So we've seen some of the O-line guys come back over. That's Muller as well. So this is a power line for Belgium.
Well, must-win situation, but not a must-win game, certainly. It's lovely to grab yourself a gold medal here at London Invite. But there are bigger prizes in store this season. Rising high, K. Big shot for Greenwald. Hartley underneath it. Can he get there? Yes, he does. Under double coverage. Pops through. Dosha. Oh, just about. I don't think that's inbounds. It's called good, though. Dan de Marais says, enough is enough. I want to go get some shade and an ice lolly, and my good gracious, he has earned it. Hartley Greenwald ends us off with perhaps a whimper, not a bang.
Yeah.
Germany Open a little bit confused that they've just won London Invite 2023, but that was a fantastic performance. Just 2 turnovers the entire game for their O-line.
It's a great spot by Phil Kay as well. Not a huge area to throw into for Greenwald because there was a poach on the far side. And once they get there, Greenwald does a good job keeping the disc moving, and Dosha finds a little soft spot in that match. Goals called, game's over. German O-line looking extremely efficient, extremely impressive, and it looks like they are ready to go for EUC.
Absolutely, and looking at the stats of this game, which we'll get up for you in a little bit, we have some really interesting little tidbits. Average passes per turn for Germany's O-line, they completed 40 for their 2 turnovers. So you get the little highlights there. And deep in the stats board on the other side of things, 153 total passes for the O-line of Belgium, only 79 for Germany.
Wow, that is a big difference. That is a big difference.
So talk about efficiency with the disc, that is huge.
Yeah, you can see the Germans were very selective with their deep shots, but when they went, they were able to complete them. Very high rate, and I think they played very, very well. Greenwald had a good game. Kay had a good game. Just generally the German O-line, I don't think there's anyone on the German O-line who underperformed. They were just very, very impressive and did a good job. So they are taking home the silverware.
Indeed, massive effort from everybody on the pitch. And we'll try and get a sideline interview for you.
As the two teams discuss what happened in the game, you see little collection of the Belgians who weren't playing. Stef Pazzo is just over there with Ben Yonkers, a couple of the other people who weren't playing for Belgium. Look through the highlights here, and that's where it all started for Germany. That set the tone. Felix Martin getting an early block, an early turn. And Germany just kept rolling from there. 15-9 win, definitely indicative of how strong they were. Belgium seemed to struggle a little bit to raise their intensity. They've been playing hard all weekend with a fairly short line. It's very warm here. And once you get in a little bit of a hole, it's very, very tough to pull yourself out. So Germany did a really good job just keeping that going. You know, Belgium dropped their head slightly, and Germany just really put their foot down, accelerated away, and executed all the way through to the end.
Well, they've kept us waiting, have Germany Open, to see exactly what kind of form they'd be having this season. Of course, they had the second place back in Jur many moons ago. Feels, of course, extra far away because of the pandemic interruptus for our seasons. But we're going to get a dual interview action. Rachel Douglas on the sideline. It's got Holger Beutenmüller and Nico Müller, two, of course, of the traditional stats leaders. And if Nico Müller had 2 goals, 2 assists, Holger Beutenmüller, of course, just 1 goal and 1 assist, but certainly big impact players. The stats leader was Stefan Doscher, but we'll hear from 2 of the basket players. And we will bring you the sideline live action shortly.
Okay, I'm here with our new London Invite champions. How are you feeling, guys?
Pretty good. I think it was a very solid game, especially from defensive side. Our D-line was very strong coming out. Also, after the turns, played very well, and that helped us a lot in that game.
Yeah, amazing. Your zone was really, really oppressive for the Belgian offensive line. Felt like you were really pushing them back a lot. Was that one of the key defensive priorities coming in today?
Yeah, for sure. Like with the wind stepping up, and we felt like we should give them the easy passes around, but nothing downfield, and I think that worked in the first half, and afterwards we managed to stay in the game, and our defense was pressure-wise really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You came out incredibly strong from the start, starting off with a break and getting a few points on the board ahead. What were your key priorities in preparation for today's game, today's final?
I think especially on defensive side, what Holger just mentioned, we wanted to have a lot of lateral passes and try to get also blocks closer to their end zone to not let them throw deep, and that I think helped us a lot in the beginning when we got short field turns and then converted immediately, and I had the chance to go up, I think 2-0, 3-1, which obviously helped us a lot in that game.
Yeah, great. And so what can we expect from you as you ramp up to EUC? Anything more up your sleeve, or are you going to keep that close to your chest?
I think we try to get better in the next 3 weeks, getting healthy, adding some of the young guys who are playing the under-24 Worlds the week before, and I think, you can expect some clean offense and some pressure deep from the Germans, as we saw.
Amazing. Okay, if I could get you both one highlight from the weekend, from each of you, what was your highlight this weekend at London Invite?
My highlight was our comeback after our first loss. So we really had a bad first game, but as the weekend went on, we got better and better, and that's my highlight.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I think for me it was defense in the last game that was really ramping up and was playing on a very high level.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Good luck at EUC. You guys looking great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for that interview, and thanks, of course, to Holger Beutenmüller and Nico Müller. Lovely to see those chaps on screen, as always. So, a question for you, Sean. What's been your highlight of London Invite this weekend?
It's been some really good plays. We saw a couple in that last game. I think the best play that I have seen this weekend was Heather Gibson's layout catch for GB Women against, was it Yaka? I don't remember which game it was, but over on the right-hand side, that end zone over here. Molly Wedge a little bit far on the swing, but Heather Gibson went horizontal, caught it. Very, very good catch. But it's been a fun weekend, a lot of good plays.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much to all of the organisers and volunteers. Clapham Ultimate, of course, running this London Invite for its 2nd edition. Looking at the game stats, certainly the biggest thing is the turnovers. Belgium Open 11 and 6 for Germany. But of course the total passes per turn, as we were saying before, 17 per turn, but 40 passes required to turn over the Germans. They only turned over twice the entire game on their own.
Yeah, 11 turns to 6, just not a number that you can win a game with, obviously. Belgium are going to be looking to clean up that offense. They struggled a little bit once Germany took away those downfield options, but those stats really just highlight how well Germany played. 6 turns in the entire game, 8 clean holds, 3 of their 5 breaks clean. Very, very good performance. They're getting a photo taken, they'll be getting a trophy soon. Very well deserved.
Indeed. Well, congratulations again, Germany Open, your London Invite champions here at 2023, 15-9 over Belgian Open. But don't go anywhere, the women's final will be coming up next on stream for your delectation live free. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury.
And me, Sean Culver.
We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you. Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
And I won't make it without you by my side. I can walk, can't stand, can't talk, can't fly without you. I'm so lost without you. I won't make it without you. I'm so lost without you. I won't make it without you. the same.